will, of course, do our part to make sure the vote is unanimous when the bill comes before us. But it is imperative that history at least record the feelings of this assembly. I therefore move for a symbolic vote to let each man say where they stand on this choice of Ottawa.
Second.
Let all understand this is not a motion of confidence or in any other...
We have a problem.
It is simply to
What do you mean? I have to let my people vote freely on this.
What? You can't.
I have to, John. I can make them accept Ottawa's a fact, but I can't make them go on record saying they like the idea.
You have to.
Dorion will use it against them at home.
George, you have to.
Can't. Take the loss and move on.
Mr. Speaker, it is unthinkable that this Assembly should even consider a motion of defiance against the Queen.
Mr. Speaker, there is no defiance in recording the personal preferences of those assembled here. In fact, it is a mark of deference that so many would be willing to set aside their own wishes and vote for the Queen's chosen site, as I myself have sworn to do.
Mr. Speaker, I implore you, you cannot let this
It's not a confidence motion. There's no consequence if you lose. I have no cause to stop it, nor do you. The Assembly will consider the motion. All those in favor of the choice of Ottawa as the capital of Canada? All opposed? The majority is opposed. That the individual votes be recorded. Mr. Jeffrey.
The cabinet meets immediately.
Mr. Reams.
All right. What do you suggest we do?
We resign. Now. In defense of the honor of the Queen.
What do you mean resign? We haven't been defeated.
Would you prefer to wait until we are? Until Brown actually has the votes to put together a government himself? Because if we do not respond, it is only a matter of time until we fall. We are exposed as weaklings if we let this go by.
Yes, all right, we must respond, but surely there's no need to give up the government.
Yes, George, there is. If we step aside, the Governor-General will ask Brown to form a government, and he won't be able to. He'll be exposed as the regional power he is. He'll be publicly embarrassed, and then we'll slip into the vacuum and resume power.
And what if he doesn't take the bait?
He will take the bait. I know the man, and that's why we must act now, before he really has the strength to hold power.
It's a ridiculous gamble.
I'll see us back in office in a matter of days. If we have the votes. Mr. Speaker, Her Majesty's loyal government are resolved that we cannot let a vote repudiating the will and judgment of our sovereign monarch stand unanswered. Confidence motion or not, it skirts the edge of treason, and we will have no part in it. It is our intention to go directly to the Governor-General and tender our resignations.
What are they doing? They don't have to resign.
They think we can't form a government. They want us to embarrass ourselves.
Get us votes.
It's a trap.
Only if we fail.
I told you he couldn't resist.
Gentlemen.
The Honourable Luther Holton, Chief Commissioner of Public Works. And of course, my colleague, the Honourable Monsieur Dorion, who will be leader in the Assembly for Lower Canada, also Commissioner of Crown Lands.
Brown has sold his soul.
That happened years ago.
He's made a deal with Dorion and also reached out to the Irish in Montreal. He's put together a cabinet full of Catholics and gone to the Governor-General.
So much for his precious principles.
Mm-hmm.
He's finally done something intelligent, hasn't he? Didn't think he had it in him.
No, you didn't. And you let your blind hatred push us right out of power. You didn't credit what he was capable of.
Do we still have the votes to topple him?
I don't know.
Find out.
Ah, let's see what we got today.
Here's Galt.
Hey, John. How are you? Good, sir.
Champagne, I'm buying.
No, I can't stand the bubbles. No.
I'll take a port.
Of course you will. Champagne for me, a glass of the good stuff for my friend here.
Oh, and what is it you're after then?
I want you in government with me.
You're not the government anymore. You resigned.
Well, I'll be back in soon enough. Come with me.
No, I'm an independent.
Independents are going the way of the dinosaurs. Thank you. You have to join a party to have any impact. And you know you want to have an impact, Cole. Don't deny it.
And what is it you're offering?
Come in and I'll give you the treasury. Free reign. Put that Midas touch of yours to use.
What are my confederation ideas?
We're already pursuing Rupert's land and Hudson's Bay.
That's not enough. I want to pursue dominion over the British North American territories, including the colonies.
Yes, well, the problem is the other colonies likely have their own ideas, Galt.
What idea is greater than a single continental British North America from sea to sea,
It's a grand
John?
idea,
Hey.
and I'm all for it. I'll make it official policy and work to promote it.
Not just promote it, pursue it.
Of course, as it becomes possible.
It is possible. You just have to act.
We have to convince them, and I don't see how.
Well, you'll have to find a way if you want me in your government.
Excuse me. We'll continue this. Sorry. Stop right there.
I've no part in it, John. I'm loyal to you.
Who isn't? All right, Galt. I'll make it policy, and I'll move heaven and earth to do it, starting with Rupert's Land and the Hudson's Bay. All right? You have my word. Galt. What do we know he's already given away?
No action on rebel BIPOP, and yes to public funding for Catholic schools in Upper Canada. He's clearly determined to make his government work.
Well, whatever he's promised, he won't be able to pay. Mr. Speaker, I cannot help but notice that Mr. Brown's cabinet has more Catholic members than any government in our history. I wonder how he'll explain that to his constituents and his readers in the globe. What happened to the rights of the majority, Mr. Brown? Have they hidden away in the same place as your, integrity?
Mr. Speaker, may I have the floor, please? Mr. Speaker, we would like to introduce our new government, duly sworn by His Excellency, the Governor-General. And now, if it so pleases the Assembly, I'd like to ask for a short adjournment for a few days while we prepare an agenda that we are fully confident will win the support of this Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, we need no adjournment to know that we lack confidence in this government. We move to vote immediately.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Seconded. Mr. Speaker, this is unacceptable. We must be allowed to present an agenda.
Mr. Speaker, they had a chance, and they asked for an adjournment instead. There is no agenda on the floor. There is only a motion of non-confidence in the government.
I'm afraid he's right, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Speaker, this is an assault on the Assembly itself. We demand our customary rights as a sworn government.
Customs are not rights.
Here, here.
Mr. Speaker, the vote.
It is moved that the government has lost the confidence of the Assembly.
We can win the confidence of the Assembly.
All voting aye. Well, I'm afraid you do not have it today. The government has been defeated.
Macdonald has abused the very dignity of the parliamentary system itself.
By toppling you so quickly, you mean?
He denied us our right to present an agenda. We could have easily won enough votes to stand.
Perhaps.
No. The man is out of control. Reeling from one disaster to another, he makes a mockery of this Assembly.
How so?
Well, this whole Ottawa idiocy for starters, hiding behind the Queen to force it down our throats.
The Queen chose Ottawa herself, Mr. Brown.
Well, we can be certain it wasn't her idea. She's not mentally deficient, unlike whoever advised her in this. I mean, buy town. In all seriousness, I can't even see how one could come up with such an astoundingly poor idea. And then he resigns over the whole issue in a fit of pique and throws the whole country into chaos. And when I do what is necessary to cobble a government together, he topples us without giving us a chance to present anything. Anything.
And what remedy do you suggest?
Unfortunately, the only option is to dissolve the Assembly, call an election,
It's too soon for another election.
Macdonald's left us no other choice. Both he and myself have been defeated.
No, Mr. Brown, you have been defeated. Mr. Macdonald has not. He resigned over insults to the honor of Her Majesty, and quite rightly so. There is therefore every reason to believe that he and Mr. Cartier retain the confidence of the Assembly that you so clearly lack. Thus, I find the only expedient thing to do is to offer them another chance.
Mr. Speaker, has there ever in history been a government more steeped in trickery and treachery than this one? Only days ago they claimed to have resigned. Yet somehow here they are back from the dead without ever having to face an election in between. Surely the Governor-General mistook his purpose when he allowed a snake like John A. Macdonald to charm his way around the law.
I've done nothing with the law but use it, Mr. Brown, as lawyers are trained to do. You, however, have sold your principles for power, and now you're left with neither. You've no one to blame but yourself. To his credit, Mr. Brown's government was remarkable in its brevity. A failure of historic proportions.
Don't change the subject, Macdonald. It is your perfidy we discuss here.
Well, really, how could we discuss yours? You weren't in power long enough to do anything. Yours was a truly ephemeral administration. In fact, I already feel the memory fading. Was George Brown really premier? Or was it just a nightmare of disloyalty and treason? A very brief nightmare. I'll grant you that.
The Americans are not to be taken lightly when they make threats of war. Just ask Mexico.
Mr. Envoy.
Yeah.
We wish to express how much we appreciate your coming to the province of Canada first among the colonies.
Yeah, so my visit is purely unofficial.
Well, nonetheless, let us take your coat.
No. This won't take long.
We have serious matters to discuss, surely.
Do we? What actions are you planning?
Britain has chosen a policy of strict neutrality, and we are, of course, bound to her will.
Yes, well, Britain is 3,000 miles away, Mr. Macdonald, and you are on our northern border. You got to take a stand. With us or against.
We are a colony, sir. Our foreign policy is set in London, not here.
And our foreign policy is strict neutrality.
Britain claims neutrality, and yet Confederate gun runners have been seized on British ships. Why should we not expect the same duplicity from you?
Because I stand here, and I give you my word. Do you question it?
Well, what is it worth? You've already admitted that you're bound to London's will.
London wills us to stay out of it. Come, sir, since we're being so frank with each other. Can you honestly expect us to get involved in your civil war?
So you offer us nothing?
A secure and peaceful border is not nothing.
An imaginary line, mostly undefended. And by the way, the Secretary of State has spoken in favor of annexing Canada outright. By force if necessary.
And of course, it would be necessary. For the last time. Canada will not meddle in American affairs. We would expect the same assurances from you.
I can't give them. Gentlemen.
He was in no way diplomatic.
He was insulting.
Unofficially, of course.
Your predecessor would have been outraged.
Yes, but I'm not my predecessor, Mr. Cartier. I'm not prone to outrage.
Your Excellency, officially or not...